Okay, so as part of your mock exam, you're going to be doing paper 2, which is a programming and problem solving paper. Now, when you do that paper, you'll be writing about the 2015 pre-release code. Okay, so this is my solution to the 2015 problem, and what I thought I would do is just take you through it and how it works, and hopefully this will help you in your exam. Okay, so if you remember rightly, the 2015 pre-release material was all about storing data about temperatures. Okay, so the idea was that the system should record a temperature at midday and a temperature at midnight, and it should be able to do that for all of the days in the month. And the examiner told us to take 30 days as the number of days in the month. Okay, so the first thing we've got here, if we have a look at the code, the first thing we've got here is, of course, our arrays. Okay, so here are our two arrays. Okay, and as you can see, I have declared them as type double. Okay, so the data type is double. Now, what does double mean? Okay, well, that just means a decimal, really. Okay, so the idea is that obviously we're going to be storing decimal numbers in our array. Okay, now on the other side, so we've put double, and the square brackets just tell the computer that we're creating an array. Okay, and we just said equals new double, and then we've told the computer just here, we've told the computer the size of the array. Okay, so and here's the name. Look, so we've got an array called midday, and it's going to store 30 elements. All right. Now, don't forget, if I draw an array, what would it look like? Okay, so I draw it like this, and we put some boxes in. Okay, and don't forget that each one of these is addressed. Okay, so this is element 0, this is element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Okay, now this is called the index, and each one of these is called an element. Okay, so we can say that this one here, this one I've ringed, is element number 6. Okay. All right, so we've created two arrays. We've got one called midday, and the other one is called midnight. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through task 1 and show you how I coded it, and then I'll take you through task 2 and task 3. So in task 1, we were just asked to input the 30 midday temperatures and the 30 midnight temperatures. So we'll just start by this line, if you remember rightly. Okay, this line is just to get input from the user. So we need to use a scanner to get input from the user. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm declaring a scanner. I've called it keyboard imp, and I'm just saying that it's going to be use system.in, which means it's going to get input from the user that the user types in using the keyboard. Okay, now in task 1 we had to input the 30 midday temperatures and the 30 midnight temperatures. Now, because I know how many times I want to do it, I have used, as we can see here, a for loop. Okay, now I've used the for loop because I know how many times I want it to loop. Now, the other kind of loop I could have used would have been a while loop. Okay, but that's more suitable when you don't know how many times you want your loop to loop. Alright, so in this case I knew I had 30 values to input, so I'm going to use a for loop. And basically what I'm saying here is we've got an integer, a whole number that controls it, and that's called I, and that starts at 0, look. Okay, and it's going to keep looping while I is less than 30. So it's going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then when it gets to 30, it's going to stop, because I will no longer be less than 30. And every time it goes, it's going to go up by 1, which is what I'm doing here. Okay, so we're just iterating it, and it's going to go up by 1 every iteration. Alright, so that's my for loop. Now, if we look here, alright, I'm just storing one value here, so this is a variable. And this variable is going to hold the temperature that I input. That's why I've called it input temp. Okay, so I called it input temp because that means something, and it just makes my my code a little bit more readable. All right, so that's going to hold the temperature that the user inputs. All right, so here I'm just saying please insert the temperature for the day, and then if we have a look at this bit of code here and this bit of code here, all I'm doing is I'm asking the user. I'm just asking the user to input a value. Okay, and here I'm asking the user to input the midday value, and here I'm asking the user to input the midnight value. Okay, so these two bits of code here are exactly the same. Okay, now as you can see, I have put these two bits of code here in a loop. So I've got a loop here and I've got a loop here. And this time I've used a while loop. Okay, so you might think to yourself, well, why am I using a while loop? Why do I need to put these two lines of code into a while loop? Well, the reason is because the examiner wanted me to do some validation. Okay, so when we talk about validation, when I insert a temperature, there's no way for the computer to check that the temperature that I insert is the temperature that was on that I recorded. Okay, but what the computer can do is it can tell me whether it was a valid temperature or not. So you were asked to identify a range of temperatures, and if the user inputted a temperature within that range, okay, then that was a valid temperature. So the range we picked, okay, was we said that the temperature should be greater than or equal to 5 degrees in the UAE, because we said it doesn't get much lower than 5, and we said that it should be less than 55 degrees. Okay, so and we said, we said it doesn't get much higher than 50 degrees in the UAE, so around about 55 degrees. So anything in between here and here is a valid temperature. Okay, so all I'm doing in this while loop, so I'm going to come back to here, you can see in my while loop, this keeps looping while the temperature that is input is less than 5, or this is the or here, look, or greater than 55. Okay, so it basically all this loop will do is while the user, this loop will just keep asking the user to insert a temperature until they insert a valid one, and a valid one is any one that's between 5 and 55. Okay, so it'll keep looping while the temperature they insert is less than 5 or greater than 55. And that's exactly the same here. Okay, so I've got exactly the same loop structure here, and again it just ensures that the temperature that I insert is greater than 5 or less than 55. Okay, so there's a couple more lines just to go, and then we're finished on task 1. So here, this line, all right, I'm taking my input temp that I've just input, and I'm inserting it into my array at element I. Okay, so inserting value into the array. That's what I'm doing just here. Okay, I'm inserting a value into the array, and I'm inserting at element I. Okay. So again, as we talked about, I is going to go from 0 to 30. So the first time I do it, it'll go into position 0. The second time, position 1, and so on. Okay, and I'm just doing the same thing here. You can't really see this line, but again, I'm just inserting the value into the array. Okay, so that's how task 1 works. In the next video, I'm going to take you through how task 2 works. Okay, so hopefully see you then. Thank you very much.